Two classes of warrior never had so much in common while being so far removed from the other than the samurai of Japan and the knight of England. These ancient warriors may have never been put at odds in the context of history as we know it, but their striking similarities beg the question, who would win in a fight? We gathered all the information we could to make an informed decision on the matter and constructed a scenario where we had a knight fight a samurai. To the death. Both knights and samurai lived in feudal societies. In Japan, samurai would be employed by lords and, in exchange for services of protection and loyalty, would be given a home and food. During times of war, samurai would join together and become Japan's military force. Knights, during the post-classical era, were considered part of the top 1% of society. Although they were still bound to protect and fight for a lord in his land, they were elite soldiers and could attain popular social status as well as material possessions such as land of their own. As well as living in similar societies, knights and samurai both had their own strict codes of honor. The samurai followed Bushido, which translates to warrior samurai ways. Bushido is comprised of a system or standards of moral principles that became the soul of the samurai during the feudal periods of Japan. It was inspired by years of Zen Buddhism, Shintoism, and Confucianism. The 8 main virtues of Bushido are integrity, bravery and courage, kindness and compassion, politeness, honesty, honor, and to be loyal. A knight was bound by the strict values of chivalry. Chivalry, or the chivalric code, is an informal varying code of conduct never decided on or summarized in a single document. Chivalry was a moral system which went beyond rules of combat and reinforced qualities such as bravery, courtesy, honor, and gallantry towards women. Chivalry also taught knights to follow Christian values, stay true to oaths and never lie, follow social norms and feudalism, and to defend your country and those weaker than you. Samurai and knights were not your ordinary peasant infantry. Each of these warriors had their own special armor and weapons. The samurai's armor was made of hundreds of metal and or leather plates and strips tied together with cloth or chainmail. They had a large helmet and plating covering all parts of their bodies. Samurai armor was designed to be light so that the impressive warriors were able to fight efficiently. Knights also had their signature set of armor. These medieval one-man tanks charged into battle wearing a full set of plate armor, providing unbeatable protection and an imposing figure. Plate armor is a historical type of personal body armor made from iron or steel plates, culminating in the iconic suit of armor, entirely encasing the wearer. A complete suit of plate armor made from well-tempered steel would weigh around 33 to 55 pounds. The armor was articulated and covered a man's entire body completely from neck to toe. Plate armor was virtually invulnerable to sword slashes. Both the samurai and the knight could wield formidable weapons. The knight relied on 2 trusty armaments, the sword and the lance. Medieval swords came in many variations, including the longsword, greatsword, and the broadsword. The lance was made of wood and had a metal tip. This gave knights a huge advantage when riding on a horse, as it provided the necessary length to engage opponents while mounted. The samurai were able to use incredible weapons as well. One of these is the yumi, a 2-meter long bow, the largest bow in the world. They were often used on horseback and allowed for long-distance battles. The most famous of the samurai's weapons were the katana. These impressive curved swords were commonly used in close combat. The long swords were curved with the edge facing towards the opponent when sheathed, so that the sword could strike the opponent and be drawn in one motion. The wakizashi was a smaller sword that was often paired with the katana. The pairing of these two differently sized swords was called daisho, and it represented the social power and personal honor of the samurai. One last thing to consider is the samurai and the knight's training. Many samurai endured brutal training and conditioning. Training methods for individual samurai varied as much as the samurai themselves, but some tenets of training remained constant throughout much of society. Some of these included mental discipline, physical conditioning, unarmed combat, and weapons work. Their training was extremely intense and physically draining. This allowed for well-disciplined elite warriors. Knights also had an extensive training regime. Knighthood training began at the age of 7 when young boys were sent away to the castles of wealthy lords or relatives. From that age till 14, these young boys were given the role of a medieval page. From 14 to 21, these apprentice knights were referred to as squires. The different types and styles of knighthood training depended on the age and strength of the apprentice knights. Knighthood training was focused on weapon practice, which included enhancing the skills in horsemanship, the two-handed sword, battle axe, mace, dagger, and lance. Knight and the samurai, both warriors of great skill. How did one beat the other? The knight's heavy sword and shield and near indestructible armor gave him the advantage, but this heavy armor would be his downfall when knocked onto his back. The samurai has a greater skill set, not to mention agility, and is able to survive until the opportunity presents itself and deals the final blow, finding a chink in the knight's armor. It all comes down to the individual situation with warriors of this level, and in this case the samurai triumphs over the knight.